everybody. Welcome to SportsBeat Special Edition College Football Preview. Last week it was BYU. Today it's all about the Aggies. Utah State coming off its best season, 11-2 a year ago, and a Potato Bowl win over Toledo. But Gary Anderson now gone to Wisconsin. Matt Wells has his first head coaching job at any level, but back is quarterback Chucky Keeton, and most of the defensive studs back as well. And Utah State is making the move from the WAC to the Mountain West Conference. However, even with the move to the Mountain West, Utah State getting a lot of respect. Aggies picked to finish second behind Boise State in a Mountain Division. Utah State received one first-place vote compared to the Broncos' 40 first-place votes. But for a newcomer to the Mountain West, Aggies pretty happy with all that love and respect they're getting.
If I had one word to say what they are, it's tough.
The third Aggie sack of the night.
He's pressured, sacked!
That is getting rocked.
They're tough physically, they're tough schematically, and they're confident and they have some momentum. So I look for them to be right in the middle of this thing.
I think Utah State's excellent. I mean, I think they're going to be one of the top teams in our league from what they've done in the past to who they got coming back.
Yeah, they're loaded and with talent, and Gary did a phenomenal job.
You know, I know when you lose a coach that's real successful, everybody's like, uh-oh. Well, not so much, because the guy that's taking it over knows what worked, and he can put his own spin on it and add some new energy.
You know, no question, a top 20 football program, and this year probably should have an even stronger team this season, too.
This one is blocked into the end zone. Utah State will recover.
You know, we've had a few conversations. You know, he's already agreed that, you know, when Boise comes to town, they won't play all the good players. They're going to rest them up for the next play, the next team. Yeah. That's what we're in negotiations for that. For some reason, I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, Jeremiah Jensen here now, and you were at the Aggies at Mountain West Media Day in Las Vegas. Of course, they're getting a lot of love and respect, deservedly so, but are you surprised at how much they're getting from the coaches from the Mountain West?
I'm not surprised because of the quarterback that is returning.
Good point.
They really respect him. If you enjoyed the Utah State offense last year, expect more of the same. Matt Wells moves from offensive coordinator and provides continuity, and 8 starters returning, including Chucky Keeton. He's on the Heisman Trophy watch list after a record-setting season.
Is he an NFL guy?
No question.
And he's going to go the distance! Spicy way to the end zone!
Can you believe that?
Touchdown, Utah State. Chucky Keeton set single-season school records in touchdown passes, passing yards, total offense, and completion percentage. Now he must prove he can put up those type of numbers against a tough schedule and a better conference.
Where'd he come from? Where'd he come from?
Chucky Keeton, the true freshman.
And he's taken the nation by surprise a little bit. He's a guy that I think really can bring a lot to this league, to this conference. He's fun to watch.
You look at some of the quarterbacks in this conference, and it's a pretty impressive list. Where does he rank in your mind in that list?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't trade him for any other ones. But I'm biased too.
The Aggies return all 5 starters on the offensive line, led by first-team preseason all-conference center Tyler Larson.
They'll keep me safe this year, and they're going to open up a lot of big holes for Joe Hill and the rest of the running backs.
Joe Hill leads a deep group at running back, and Travis Reynolds leads the receivers, where some new talent will need to step in and step up.
What are your expectations for this offense?
Oh, I think that we, find our identity. You know, we do have a lot of linemen back. We've got a tight end back that's played for 3 years. Travis Reynolds at receivers played quite a bit, and of course number 16. But we've got to come up with our identity and who we are, and we want to be explosive, and we want to play fast, and we're going to do those things. But are we going to do them a little bit different than we did them last year? Maybe so.
Wells' move from offensive coordinator to head coach provides familiarity and continuity, which should allow this offense to pick up where it left off.
Here's a fake handoff, a rollout by Keeton. He's still got the ball. Chucky turns, scores, touchdown.
You're going to see something very similar to last year, but you're just going to see some new faces. That's all it is. And with those new faces, it's going to be a little bit of a flair from each person, and it's going to be very exciting. I look forward to seeing it in training camp and having it roll over until our first game against Utah.
Keaton's going to keep it, has a first down to the 20. Keaton to the free Aggie, touchdown.
It's something special that's really about to happen, and it's one of those things that on this team you can just kind of feel the vibe, and everyone's buying into it.
Now, Utah State had 72 explosive plays last year. That's plays over 20 yards. The ability of the offense to maintain that explosiveness against a more difficult schedule may determine the level of their success. Rod?
All right, Jeremiah, thank you. Al Lewis, radio voice of the Aggies, joining us now, and thanks for making the trip from Logan. The Aggie bandwagon has a lot of people on board right now. It's good to be wearing the Aggie blue right now.
Yeah, I got mine on today. We've been looking forward to this for a long time, to have this in football.
Yeah, now before we break down the offense, talk more about what Jeremiah talked about. It was announced earlier this week that instead of playing BYU twice in Provo, then a 2-for-1 coming back to Logan. Now they will play a home-and-home series beginning this year in Logan, 2 years in Logan, and then the 14 and 16 in Provo. That's big for the Aggies. You guys have been waiting for that.
Well, it obviously means you have another great opponent at home that's not on your conference schedule, that's a guaranteed big game. And then to have it get to the end of the season, be a real rivalry game to replace the Utah-BYU game will be great, too.
Yeah. Now, before you get to the BYU game this year, you're 5 weeks away from the opener at Utah. Now, last year's win at home against the Utes really kind of catapulted you guys into that record-breaking season.
It was an amazing win for Utah State to have a chance to do that finally to Utah and to get them and to win the game like they did at the end, and make the play defensively, which kind of spelled the tale. The defense was really great last year, especially against teams scoring.
Knowing that you had a lead, you lost it, and you came back in pressure situation, had to do tons for confidence.
Oh, it was great. And again, it was Keaton and Kerwin Williams that made big plays, and Keaton's back again, and we're looking forward to that.
All right, after the Utes, check out the rest of the schedule. Then you go to Air Force. You're on the road back-to-back, Weber State, and then you go to USC, and then 2 weeks later you have BYU and Boise State back-to-back home games. That's a fun first 7 weeks of this season.
To have BYU and Boise State back-to-back on night games, national TV, will be really, really big for Logan, for sure.
Toughest schedule the Aggies have had in a long time.
Well, you'd have to say it's the best ever because of the conference and then the non-conference, to have USC and BYU and Utah in there.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great.
All right, now to this year's team. For having a new head coach, usually people say, uh-oh, I'm kind of nervous. But with Matt Wells, I don't sense 1 ounce of concern in Logan.
Well, there's never been a transition coach at Utah State in a long, long time, obviously.
True.
So that makes a big difference. And so you get that, and you had everybody who saw what Matt did with the offense. He's learned it from Gary. He kept a lot of Gary's staff that didn't go to Wisconsin. So there should be a really good transition.
Of course, Chucky Keaton, a lot of reason why everybody's pretty optimistic about this year. Great numbers a year ago. With Wells moving up to head coach, new offensive coordinator Kevin McGivern coming in. How is Chucky and Coach McGivern meshing?
Well, I think they've meshed well, and I think Matt Wells is still involved in that. I think offensively he'd still be involved some. But McGivern already has been through this system because he was there before Matt Wells was the offensive coordinator. So I really think that that's been good, and I think that will be a great situation for Chucky to have a guy like Kevin McGivern.
Yeah, he's had good numbers everywhere he's gone. Montana State, Weber State, and Memphis. Kerwin Williams is gone now. Junior Joe Hill, is he the next running back to step in line?
Well, last year Kerwin waited his term behind Robert Turbin, and I think Joe Hill last year, he scored 7 touchdowns and only touched the ball about 56 times. That's a pretty good ratio.
Exactly. Quickly, with the new schedule and going to the Mountain West Conference, will we see the same kind of explosiveness from this Aggie offense?
Well, I think it's there, and again, the major deal will be if they can come up with some big play wide receivers, and I think Travis Reynolds is a good guy at that position. I think JoJo Natson, yes, at receiver. I think JoJo Natson will be another guy who can provide that, and when you got Chucky Keaton, he can provide it with the arm and can run it.
Yeah, Travis Reynolds and Travis Van Leeuwen, your 2 main receivers coming back with experience, 2 touchdowns between those guys, so somebody's going to have to step up. All right, Al, that's the offense. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the defense, get your thoughts on if they can have an encore of the great season a year ago.
Defense is still loaded.
All right, welcome back to the SportsBeat College Football Preview Show, all about the Utah State Aggies today. We've talked about the offense. Now for the defense, Jeremiah. The defense for Utah State will be hard-pressed going into the Mountain West Conference to put up the same kind of huge numbers they did a year ago.
They definitely will. That's why they got that new weight room facility.
Yeah, bulk up a little bit.
They're going to need it. The Utah State defense gave up just 15 points per game last season. That will be tough to repeat against a much more difficult schedule, but this group of returning starters embraces the challenge.
our guys to be is we'll always be blue collar. We'll always play with the chip on our shoulder.
Light is pass picked off by Fackrell.
And we'll always be a group, I believe, that's intense and intentional about the work, but yet we're going to have fun and we're going to put a smile on our face and fly around and have fun.
Here is a play action again by Manley. He's pressured, sacked!
The Utah State defense finished 14th in the country in total defense, 7th in scoring defense, and 6th in sacks in 2012. With 7 starters returning, expectations are for that kind of success to continue.
Are you confident that that group can maintain the intensity and the success that they've had in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I am. I think when you look at who's coming back, they've played a lot of games. There's a lot of starts between them, especially that linebacking core. I don't have any doubts about their ability to lead and their ability to perform. It'll be a fun group to watch.
We're running the same type of program, you know. Losing Coach A was hard, but having Coach Wells be the guy that stepped in and fill that spot, that was huge for us as a team because, you know, when you have a coaching change, you don't know what's going to happen, what schemes are going to change, but Coach Wells did a good job of the new defensive guys that have come in. They had to learn our scheme. They have to learn how we do things. So terminology and all that stuff, virtually the same type of program, you know, same core values.
Key returners like first-team preseason all-conference linebacker Kyler Fackrell, Connor Williams, Jake Dowdy, Zach Vigil, and Nevin Lawson will face some of the best quarterbacks in the country, like Fresno State's Derek Carr and San Jose State's David Fales.
Like you said, we had a good defense last year. That was last year, though. So this year we got to step up our level of play. We have to watch that much more film on these guys because these guys are good. A lot of these guys can have a shot to go to the NFL. So that's some really good talent that we're going to have to stop. And that means, you know, if these guys are going to the NFL, they're really smart players. We have to be smarter than them to beat them.
The defense will be tested early. Road games at Utah, Air Force, USC, and San Jose State, as well as home games against BYU and Boise State, all in the first 7 weeks of the season.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind. But I look forward to it. Like I said, the rising competition, that's awesome. You know, that's why we do what we do. We like to compete. So walking down there open against Utah, it's going to be exciting. You know, I have a lot of respect for them guys, and obviously they want to beat us after last year. But we're not little brother anymore.
That is an intense group. Last year, the Aggie defense gave up just 9 points in the first quarter and didn't allow a single first quarter touchdown for the entire season. The only team in the country to do so, Rod.
All right, JJ, Al Lewis, radio voice of the Aggies, back with us. What about the defense this year? Great season a year ago, tougher schedule. Your take, your sense, your feel for what they can do this year?
I think the guys learned how to play defense last year, even more to their capabilities. And again, the transition there is great. All the defensive staff stays except for Todd Orlando as the coordinator. And watching practice in the spring, it looked like the practices before. Orlando coaches differently than Dave Aranda does, but I think the results and what he wants to get done are the same. And I think, again, defense looks like it shouldn't miss a beat.
Of course, it all starts with the linebackers. That's the leaders of this group, Zach Vigil, Kyler Fackrell, and Jake Dowdy. Those guys, if they can bring it again this year, which we expect they will, this is going to be solid.
And you got Tavares McMillan, and you've got Nick Vigil, and you've got some other guys in there that can do the job. Terrell Thompson, I think, will be another guy on there. So, again, linebacker is really going to lead this team. The place they really got better last year is the defensive front. And they rotated a lot of guys, and all of those guys are kind of back. I really think in B.J. Larson and in Jordan Nielsen and some of these guys up front, and Connor Williams, really good, solid defensive front.
Out of the three linebackers, Vigil, Fackrell, and Dowdy, is there one that kind of is the leader and the best out of this group, or do they just feed off each other? How is that?
Again, Dowdy and Vigil are more inside. Fackrell's more the outside guy. Makes more of the plays you might notice a little bit more in open space. And so I think maybe Fackrell you notice more, but the other guys are involved in a lot of plays in defense.
All right, let's move back to the DBs. Cornerback Willie Davis, drafted by the Dolphins. He's gone. He was their playmaker a year ago. Have they got anybody to replace him and have that kind of speed?
Well, they are adding a couple of new guys guys in the secondary that will go in, but I think the experience that's there is very good with Nevin Lawson especially and Rashad Stewart, and they're going to have to replace like McCade Brady at defensive safety, and that's where Maurice Alexander, I think, really we saw in spring. He was a guy who came as a linebacker a couple years ago for disciplinary reasons, was off the team last year, and now he's back playing safety. Big play guy.
Yes or no? Jeremiah said it moments ago, 9 points in the first quarter. Are they going to be that studly again?
Well, I think they can be, but there's no way you can think you're going to go through a whole season not give up a first quarter touchdown like they did last year. That's amazing. If they do that, we're in great shape.
All right, Chris Peterson call them a top 20 team. Do you agree with that?
We're still good.
Okay. Al Lewis, thanks for coming in and for making the trip from Logan. We've got a couple of gifts for you.
Oh.
Yeah, how about Ruby River? You can go and take your lovely wife and have a meal on us.
Oh, that's nice of you.
And then also you got OGO. You got a golf bag. I know you golfed with Coach Wells today up at Logan Country Club. So you can get a golf bag or travel bag in your travels. What kind of golfer is Coach Wells?
I'll tell you what. I told you, a 1-iron. Can you imagine that, a guy hitting a 1-iron anymore?
He really does.
A 1-iron. He's good.
So he's better than Gary Anderson? At least on the golf course?
Yes. I'm sorry to say yes. Although Coach Wells says if Gary would have put his time into it, that Matt grew up, his grandpa was a golf pro.
Okay.
So he got a chance to play quite a bit with him. But he said if Gary would have played a little bit more, he could have got better.
All right. Well, we started this segment with you saying it's good to be Aggie blue, and you're loving it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Optimism sky high.
Been looking forward for this for a long, long time.
Is it higher than it was a year ago?
Oh, yeah, because, again, we had a bowl team, but it was 7-5. Who would have expected 11-2? Now, again, they have something to really try to live up to. And again, that's a pretty high bar they have set.
All right, Al Lewis, radio voice of the Aggies. Thank you, bud.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Of course, we all know what Chucky Keaton, quarterback for the Aggies, can do. But now Utah State, since they're in the Mountain West, Jeremiah, they'll be watching a number of really, really good and also dangerous quarterbacks.
Potential NFL guys. Here's a few of those quarterbacks talking about each other.
Gonna get him? No! Manuel can't get him. Neither can Tuiloma. Keaton throws on the run. Touchdown!
Every week there's going to be a great quarterback. You got Derek, Brett, Cody Fajardo, Joe Southwick. It's definitely a great group of quarterbacks.
Fajardo on a rollout, looking end zone for Sudfeld, and he's got him for the touchdown.
There's so many different kinds of quarterbacks. You got Chucky who can run and throw, and there's a couple of those, and you got me and David who don't really run as much, but we're pocket passers, and we'll try and